on lesson 95. This one is on graphs of nonlinear functions and then recognizing shapes of various nonlinear functions. Now, a linear function is, if you see the word linear, the word is line, okay? And so a linear function is a line that just goes through like that, or it could go like this, or it could go like this, or it could go like this. It's a line, straight line, okay? And something I want you to notice about linear, when we graph them, an example of a linear equation would be this. F of x equals x plus 1. Now, I want to kind of review something with you real quick, okay? Whenever you see this f of x, I want you to think of y, the letter y. So I'm going to write this y equals x plus 1, okay? So all I'm doing is changing that. This f of x means y, and you need to know that. Okay, now, if I were to do this equation and graph it, here's how I would do it. I would have an x and a y, and then I would just choose any number, 1. If I put a 1 where that x is, then what is y? 1 plus 1, y is 2. Okay, see how we're doing this? Okay, let's do a few more just to kind of do it. Let's do a negative number. Negative 1 as my x, then what would my y be? 0, right? Let's do 3 as my x, what would my y be? 4. See how we're doing it? Now, let me show you this on the graph so that you can see 1 up 2, negative 1, 0, 3, 4, and as you can see, regardless of what numbers I choose, they are going to be on this line. It could be up here, it could be down here, it could be right here, but regardless, the line's going to be here. So the thing I want you to notice is this f of x, you need to make y, and then the next thing I want you to notice is that when you have just an x, not an x squared, not an x cubed, anything like that, when you just have an x, guess what kind of, what it's going to make? It's going to make a line. So, in your notes, what you're wanting to say is, when you have an x equation, x equations will always be a line, a linear equation. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, the rest of this that I'm teaching you, I'm actually not going to actually perform and then graph them. I'm just going to show you. I may do one and on each of them. So let's look above, or this next part, because this next part is we're learning to graph non-linear, not lines. Okay? So now stay with me. For example, all right? Here's what they draw. Actually, they tell me f of x equals x squared, okay? Another one that they would do would be, for example, f of x equals x minus 3 squared. Another example that they do is f of x equals x squared minus 3. And then the last one that they're showing on this book is negative x squared. What do you notice about each 4 of these?
X squared.
The squared. Very good. So, let me show you, and I'm going to do one of them, so I'll just do the top one. Okay, remember, what is f of x?
Y.
Y. Okay, so if I were going to make an xy chart, remember I can just pick any x, so what do you want to do? 1, 2. 2 is my x, so my y is 2 times 2, which is 4. 3 times 3 is 9. Let's do a negative. Actually, I'm going to go lower because I don't have 9 ticks. So let's go lower.
Negative 2.
Negative 2? Okay. Negative 2 times negative 2 would be positive 4. Okay. 1 times 1 is 1, and then negative 1 negative 1 times negative 1 is still positive 1. Okay? And even 0, if we chose a 0, 0 squared is 0. 0 times 0 is still 0. Okay, so let's graph this. Okay? 0, 0. 1, 2, 4. Negative 1, 2, 4. 1, 1. Negative 1, 1. Okay. What do you notice?
It's a V shape.
It made a V. Now, on these negative ones, it's likely going to make a V shape downward because negative is down, positive is up.
Mm-hmm.
So, each of these, this one actually it made this kind of shape. This one made, let me show you. This one made this shape, okay? This one made this shape, okay? This one makes this shape, and that one made this shape. What do you notice? They all make a V shape, whether it's down or up.
Mm-hmm.
So, on this, what I want you to put on your notes is x squared equations make a V. Okay? Now, it depends on if it's a negative, then it's going to make a downward V. And if it's positive, it's going to make an upward V. Those are just good notes to take and say. Got it?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, let's look at the next one. So that's if it's x squared. Alright, let's look at the next 4 equations. And these are cubic functions. Now, just so you know, the x squared ones are called, this is probably important, quadratic functions. Just so you know, quadratic. Alright? It may be important, you might want to write that down. Okay, this next one is called cubic functions. I'll write that down, cubic functions. Okay, and here are what some of the f of x's are. F of x equals x cubed. F of x equals x minus 2 cubed. F of x equals x cubed minus 2, and f of x equals negative x cubed. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, you're just going to make an xy chart, and what does the f of x mean? It means y. So again, I'm just going to do the top one. Y x cubed. Okay, if x is 1, then what is my y? 1. If x is negative 1, then what is my y? Negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1.
Negative 1.
Negative 1. Let's do a 2. If x is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8. And if I did a negative 2, it would be negative 8, yeah. Okay, and then let's just do a 0, just because. So if 0 times 0 is still 0. Okay, so let's graph this. I always like to use 0 because it kind of gives us a middle point if there's going to be a middle point. So 0, 0, and then 1, 1, negative 1, ooh, negative 1, negative 1, 2, and 8, and negative 2, and negative 8. This is going to make a weird function. Okay, so guess what? On your notes, you need to say x cubed equations will result in looking like this. Got it? X cubed or cubic functions will look like this. Okay? That one's the first equation. This next equation would look like this. Okay? Whoops. Still the same thing. The next equation, x cubed minus 2, is going to look like this. Again. And then the last one, the negative, watch what happens. Starts on the left side and goes to the right rather than starting on the right side and going to the left. So negative equations make this kind of line. Positive equations make this kind of line. Okay? All right. That's the second lesson, or that's the second part of that. All right, let's do another one. Square root functions. We got two more functions of what we're looking at. Okay, so for example, here's a square root function. F of x, I'm going to do some blues. Let's do blue. My red's dying on me. Okay, this is square root functions, okay? And the square root functions are things like this. F of x equals square root of x. F of x equals square root of x plus 2. F of x equals 2 plus square root of x. And f of x equals negative square root of x. Okay? So what do you notice all of these have?
They've all got a square root.
They all have the square root. Square root, square root, square root. Okay? Now, if I was to do this, let's go and graph that. Remember, f of x means y, so y equals that. So, let's think of a number. X is 4, and so then y would be what? 2. If, let's try another one. Let's see, 0. Then the square root of 0 is 0, okay? Let me see, look and see if there's any others that we can do. Let's try, no, let's do 9 then. If x is 9, then y would be 3, right? Alright, so now let's see what this is going to graph for us. 1, 2, 3, 4, up 2, 0, 0, and 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, up 3. As you can see, what is it doing?
It's making a slanted angle.
It's a slanted, yeah, it's not a line, not a straight line. It's a slanted angle. So, what you need to know about square roots, and you can write down this information for square root equations. It will make a line, or a curved line like that. Okay? So for this first one, that's what it made. For the second one, it starts here and goes over. For the third one, it started here and goes over. And for the last one, let's see what happens when it's negative. It goes under. See what happened?
Mm-hmm.
So the negative ones look like this, and the positive ones look like this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, starts from the 0 and goes down, or it could start from here and go down. Okay, so that's that. All right, and then the last one is absolute value. Absolute value functions. And absolute value functions, for example, are going to be f of x, and then it's going to be in the absolute value. X is inside this. F of x equals x minus 2. F of x equals x plus 2. And f of x equals, we always got to have a negative one, don't we? Negative that. Okay, so again, y is that, so let's make an xy chart. Okay, if my x is 3, remember absolute value means the distance from 0. So even if it's a negative number, you're just asking how many jumps or how many units is that from 0. So all negative numbers will become positive in absolute value. So let's try 3. If 3 is my x, then what is my y? Well, how far is 3 from 0? It's 3. So it would be 3 as well. Let's try a negative number, negative 3. If x is negative 3, then what is the answer for y? Well, this absolute value changes it to a positive 3. Let's do another one. 2. 2 is in there, and then it's going to be 2. And then if negative 2 is in there, it's going to be 2. Right, so let's go and graph this. 1, 2, 3, up 3. Negative 1, 2, 3, up 3. 1, 2, 2, and negative 1, 2, 2. Okay, what's it end up doing? Oh, I see. Okay, and then if we did 0, which is always a good one to do, it goes right here. So, what do you see? It almost makes 2 lines, but it's still not considered a linear equation because it's going boom, boom. It's not just a straight line. So this one, I guess because earlier we were saying it makes a V, but it's actually a curved V, where this one is strictly a V. So you might want to change that on your notes because this is what it's going to look like. So the first one is this. The second one is this. The third one is this. And the last one, since it's a negative number, watch what it does. It goes down. Okay? So, on your notes, I would say absolute value equations will make a V, a perfect V. And that's for positive ones. For negative ones, it's going to go down. Downward V. Okay? Those are just some good notes. Now, let's put this into practice now that we've learned all the different types of equations and how we draw the lines. We've learned the X one, which makes this. We've learned, here, let's do this. X makes this kind of line. What does X squared make? The V?
Oh, it makes the curved V.
Curved V. Okay, what does X cubed make?
Makes the...
Oh, okay.
I mean,
It goes like this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, what does the cubic X make?
Makes like a slanted angle. Oh, that one.
Let me look. I got it.
Yeah, it makes a slanted angle.
It goes here.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the last one was the square root, or
Straight
the
up.
absolute value, and it makes a perfect V. Okay, now, knowing this, that's kind of some good information, because on the ACT, you'll get an equation, x squared equals this, and you know that it's going to be this. You don't even have to perform the problem, chances are, because they're going to show you several different graphs, and you're going to pick this one, because you know that it's an x squared one, okay? So it's pretty cool that you can do that. Alright, so let's do some of the lesson practices. Oh, I'm sorry, not lesson practices, but the second part of the lesson, recognizing shapes. So here's what A is. A makes this shape. B makes this shape. C makes this shape. And I'm going to go and put D over here. D makes this shape. Okay, and here's what they ask us. The graph of a quadratic function could resemble which of the following graphs? Okay, this one is the quadratic. Remember that? This is cubic function, linear function, square root function, and absolute value function. They call this one quadratic. So what's the shape quadratic's going to make? This one right here. So B would be our answer. This one will be the linear. This one, we didn't even learn, and this one either. So B would be our answer on that one. All right, let's do 95-2 on that. Whoops, I didn't mean to erase that. Okay, 95-2 gives us several of them, okay? And A looks like this. B looks like this. C looks like this. And D looks like this. Alright, and so they ask for you to match. Now, they're going to have x cubed plus 1 as a matching one. They're going to have x minus 2 as a matching one. They're going to have square root of x as a matching one. And then, ooh, this one might be tricky. Plus x plus 1. But I want you to notice the square. That's the part that you need to realize. Okay, so if it was x cubed plus 1, which one's it going to match? It's going to look like that. Because x cubes make this kind of line. The absolute value is going to look like a V, so it matches this one, C. This square root of x makes this kind of line, whether it's that way or down. So this one's going to be D. And then this one is an x squared, because it has that squared. And that one makes this, so it's going to match this one. Okay? See how easy that is now that we know? Alright. And then the last one, they want to do one more like that. So let's do that real quick. Okay? And here's what it says. They've got a graph that looks like this. A is this. B is this. C is this. And D is this. And again, they're going to give us some equations again with the square root and all those, and you just match them. Okay? Don't need to do that again. Hopefully that makes all sense, and you can go back and review it if you need to. That's lesson 95.